for those who don't know, and you may have just guessed by the title anyway, we recently found out that we were expecting, and I'm 12 weeks today, so the 23rd of April. I thought I would start doing some sort of like vlogs to keep track of them. Not even really for people to watch, but if they want to. More for me keeping track of like belly size and all that kind of stuff. So just thought it would be a fun thing to do. But yeah, this video, because I haven't posted any yet, will just cover the whole first trimester, right up until sort of 12 weeks. So it might be a bit of a long one. How we found out. We had been trying sort of a little bit before we found out, but we were going to sort of like cool it off a little bit the month that we actually fell pregnant, because our wedding was coming up and it would basically fall right on our wedding day. And you know, we have terrible timing, so of course that's the month we fell pregnant. I actually ended up taking a pregnancy test at the Garden of Unearthly Delights, which may have no relevance if you don't live in Adelaide. We do sort of the Adelaide Fringe, which is like an arts festival each year, and the Garden of Unearthly Delights is sort of a big venue for a lot of stuff there. And I was working there at the time, because I work in theatre, and so I was doing maintenance on a show called Sir Columbia, and I was there in the morning, and basically it was the only opportunity I had to do a pregnancy test. And so I did one, came out positive straight away, and I freaked out. Called Anthony, and he didn't answer straight away, so I took a photo of the test and just said, and texted him and said, call me. So I was at work panicking. It was happy panicking, but still panicking. And he eventually called me back and was just dead silent for a few minutes, and when he eventually composed himself, he was happy. So we were still sort of a bit sort of shell shocked and stuff, and I was sort of running between the Garden and State Theatre Company, which is where I was doing a lot of the actual maintenance of the costumes, because there's no facilities in the Garden, it's literally just a field. So that's where I did my second pregnancy test, super classy, and still wasn't completely convinced, weirdly enough. And obviously that was positive as well. And so finished all my work, which was sort of a few hours, and trekked it all the way back to the Garden, finished all that up, and decided that Anthony called me and said, well, we should tell our parents and stuff. And luckily both my parents work at University of South Australia, which is sort of about a 5-minute walk anyway from where the Garden is, what was. And so went and told them, and they were both very happy. Mum cried, as they do. And yeah, and so I had to go out for dinner that night with a few of my friends, so I told them, and for a long time they were the only people that knew, apart from some of Anthony's family, and one or two people from work, like his work. But yeah, so super awesome timing we have. And initially our first due date would have been the 1st of November, and originally our date for our wedding was going to be Halloween, which is 31st of October, which wouldn't have worked. We now know that our due date's actually about the 5th of November, but still doesn't work. So we're getting married on the 13th of September, which is a Friday, so Friday the 13th, which is still Halloweeny. We can still have a creepy theme. It'll work. So yeah, for ages I still had the initial shell shock thing of being pregnant. I think I've only just come to terms with it, really. But yeah, I had quite a few symptoms. Sort of, I found out what would have been about just over 4 weeks. So I was really early on when I found out. But when I hit maybe 5 weeks was when I started really getting sort of like bad symptoms. So I would, first off, I had to give up caffeine. If you know me, you know I'm a caffeine fiend. I literally could go months without drinking water before I fell pregnant. Just Pepsi Max and coffee all the time. And I'd have like 5-shot coffees and stuff multiple times a day. So very bad. So obviously the moment I found out, I just stopped drinking caffeine cold turkey. And for me, it's actually easier to give up things cold turkey than to try and cut down, because if I have one Pepsi Max, I'll just keep going. So haven't touched Pepsi Max or full strength coffee since I found out. Actually, no, I've had 2 sips of full strength coffee. Stole one off Anthony because he said his coffee was really awesome, which just made me want it more. And once because my mum accidentally made me one. I think Anthony just finished up the shower. So yeah, I've been getting crazy headaches from that. Nausea has been my other one. I've never been a particularly bad person for vomiting as such. I was when I had my gallbladder problems and all that, but it's a different kettle of fish completely. But yeah, just nausea to the point that I like can't work half the time. It's slowing up now. It's been slowing up for the past few weeks, but to start with, it was terrible. And I'm a really, really bad person for motion sickness at the best of times. And so most of the time, if I get on a bus and if I look at my phone for more than a couple of minutes, I'll be sick by the end of it. So I have to catch the bus into work every morning. So combine that with morning sickness, that's not particularly fun. What else? I do have notes here, but they don't seem to be helping me great. I've had sort of a weird combination of being incredibly exhausted and insomnia, which is weird. Normally I'm a bit of a night owl, not terrible, but normally I'd go to bed at sort of like midnight, 1, and then wake up at like 9 if left to my own devices kind of thing. Which doesn't necessarily work with working anyway, but at the moment I just sort of like pass out at about anywhere between sort of 8 and 11 kind of thing, and like just literally pass out. And it's not as bad at the moment. Again, it's sort of easing up a little bit, but I'll wake up sort of at 3 to go to the toilet, and at 5 to go to the toilet, and at 6 and at 7:30, and like, so basically you don't really fall asleep between sort of about 3 and when you properly wake up. Which leads me on to the next one, peeing all the time. It's terrible. It's like too much information, but seriously, you just pee all the time. And like, I have more than half a cup of water and I have to pee. Or it's been more than half an hour since I peed, so I need to pee. It's terrible. And combine that with the fact that you're always thirsty. You can't really do anything about it, you just have to deal with it. And yeah, good fun. What else? Weird dreams. I've been having, I'll get onto like what I've actually been dreaming about later, but like a lot of it's like baby dreams, and yeah, like I say, I've got a couple of examples that I've written down, but like anxiety dreams and stuff, like I'll be being chased by someone, or I had one where Anthony cheated on me, which like anyone that knows him would know that would never ever happen kind of thing. Just weird stuff, and like that like my family will be angry at me and stuff like that, and it's really odd. It's like not at all justified, but I'm having dreams about it anyway. It's really strange. overall, this is a really weird one. Normally I'm a really, really hormonal person. And again, this is probably too much information, but yeah, incredibly hormonal person normally, but ever since I fell pregnant, I'm not, which is really weird. I just seem to be sort of normal. It's very odd. I don't know. There'll be the occasional time where I'll sort of freak out over absolutely nothing, but like, we bought a baby bullet and then I decided I hated it, and then we found out that they're actually really dangerous, and so I like lost my shit and burst into tears, because that makes sense. But yeah, no, apart from weird little shit like that, I've been really quite normal. Like, I reckon I've only cried like once since I fell pregnant, so that's a positive one, I suppose. Next big thing with me has been sort of cravings and food aversions. I mean, I'll go through them in a sec, but just the weird stuff that I've been wanting and stuff that I've decided to hate, even though before I was pregnant I really, really liked it. And probably the final symptom is my sense of smell has been changing probably the last couple of weeks. I reckon since about 9 or 10 weeks. It's really weird. It's not all the time, but like, I mean, there's the obvious ones of sort of like red meat cooking and stuff like that that just grosses me out, and a bit chicken cooking sometimes, and like some foods, but normally it's to do with food aversions anyway. But things like a woman walked past, well, there's a big shopping centre called Marion near our house. Well, it's not really called Marion, it's in Marion. And a woman walked past me and I was convinced she smelled like soil, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But at the time I was convinced and freaked out and asked Anthony if he thought the same thing, and yeah. And there was also the time I thought Anthony smelled like peanut butter. That was really odd too. I don't know. My cravings and stuff have been really strange, and a lot of it is stuff that I can't have, which is kind of cruel. But stuff like, the ones I can remember are sushi and ham and deli meats, which are ones I can't have, so that's horrible. Carbs like crazy, so like rice and pasta, and rice has been a really big one. I had rice like 7 meals in a row once, which was kind of odd, but and just things like fruit and stuff like that, and blueberry muffins, which I still haven't had because I'm really particular about muffins for some reason. My aversions mainly are like meat and stuff. Red meat just grosses me out at the moment. I've never been a huge person to eat a lot of eggs anyway, but eggs gross me out at the moment. And normally I'm a bit of a sweet tooth, but at the moment I can't really handle sweet foods, which is kind of odd. They're alright, I'll have something every now and then, but I don't know. I don't sit there and like crave chocolate or cake or anything like that. It's just blueberry muffins is the only thing. And fruit. But I suppose that's a need for like vitamins and stuff. Dreams and stuff. Early on, sort of about 5 or 6 weeks, I had a dream that I'd had a little girl. I didn't, like, there was no sort of distinguishing factors to say that it was a girl, I just knew for some reason. And I was trying to like breastfeed her, and it was really odd. Like, a friend of mine was sitting there, basically I was having trouble breastfeeding it, and my friend was basically sitting there like saying I was a bad mother and all this kind of stuff, and I just remember like in the dream like just bursting in tears, and then I woke up, so that's nice. And I think it was just sort of to do with the whole sort of anxiety dream kind of thing. I've had heaps of dreams where I've like either been really, really pregnant, like huge belly, or I've told people that I was pregnant, or both. Like, it'll be, I think it's just because it's playing my mind a lot, but it'll be completely unrelated to what's happening, and I'll just turn around and be like, well, you know I'm pregnant, and out of nowhere, and it's really strange. Like I had one that I'd gone back to, like I used to do ballet when I was about, like from when I was about 2 or 3 to when I was about 5 or 6, like so only a few years when I was a little kid, and I'd gone back to ballet for some reason, heavily pregnant, and they put me in a class with like 4-year-olds, even though I'm like 22, and my mum was there as well for some reason, and we're having this huge argument with the instructor, like, why haven't you put me in the class with the people my age, like, you know I'm pregnant and stuff like that, and I don't know what relevance that has, but yeah, no, lots of weird dreams like that, and just the anxiety dreams that I mentioned before, and there's one that I hadn't written down on this, but I had it a few days ago, about 4 days ago or something. It was sometime last week, and it was really, really odd. Basically, I'd had a dream that I was at my mum's and I'd given birth to the baby, but at the size it is now, like not fully developed or anything like that, so it still looked like a fetus and all this kind of stuff. It was really strange, and I'd had it in the toilet of all places. It was really strange, but I sort of like cleaned it up and everything and brought it out and like showed my dad, and he kind of went like, oh yeah, that's a baby, fair enough, and showed my mum and all that kind of stuff, and like it's still really tiny, and then within about an hour it'd grown to sort of the size of about a 6-month-old, and it was really weird. And I'm still at my mum's and I'm like breastfeeding as you do with a new baby, but like normally normally dream in colour, that's pretty normal, but and like occasionally I'll have a bit of lucid dreaming where I can sort of affect things in my dream a little bit, but not very much. Once it gets a bit too intense, I just wake up. But this was really strange. I could feel the child breastfeeding like really strongly and like it was happening, and it happened for a while before I woke up as well. That was a really weird part. Normally if strange things happen in dreams, I normally go like, oh, that's weird, and then realize it's a dream and wake up, whereas in the dream, like, I mean obviously it was shorter than this, but like in the dream it seemed to happen for like 15-20 minutes before I sort of woke up, and I'd like had the conscious thing of like, this is really strange. So I don't know, I still get a bit weirded out by it, but yeah, I woke up completely freaked out and like couldn't go back to sleep after that. It was really, really weird. Probably the last thing that's been happening sort of the last 2 weeks, if that, sort of week and a half, and I don't know what it is. I'm not definite that that's like it's movement or whatever, but based on the ultrasound we had yesterday, we know it's a big mover. It just is psycho the whole time, and so probably for last week and a half I've been sort of feeling weird sort of like bubbly movements, like it's the only way I can describe it, and it's like, it feels like if someone said like, oh, that's baby moving, I'd go, oh, okay, fair enough, but it's way too early to be able to, I mean, some mums say they can feel it this early, and like a lot seem to be convinced that they can, but it seems more common for sort of like your second or third to be able to feel it this early, and this is my first. And normally it's like if I'm sort of like lying on my side at night, like before I go to bed or something like that, that's when I can feel it, and like hardly any other time of the day. Although there was one so like 4 days ago, I was sitting and talking to my dad, and I was sitting on a lounge and I was kind of hunched over a little bit, so my belly would have been a little bit squished, I suppose. And I just felt like in like really, really unusually strong movements, and I felt it a couple of times since. And it's just really odd. It's probably not movements, it's probably something else, but it doesn't feel like anything I've ever felt before, and it's in the right place and all this kind of stuff, and it's just kind of odd. I don't know, I kind of just want someone to be like, yes, that's movement. But I'm sure that's not it. But yeah, no, that's really odd. What else? I mean, that's about it for sort of like symptoms and stuff like that. Yesterday we told everyone on like Facebook and stuff like that, and it seems to have been received really well. Everyone seems to be sort of really happy for us. Before that, just sort of like really close friends, probably maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 friends and family knew. We never really kept it. Why did I think we never really kept it a secret from family. We kind of told them all straight away, but just in case, like, we're having a bit of spotting and stuff early on, so we didn't want to tell like everyone we knew and then have something go wrong. But yeah, no, everyone seems to be really happy about it. I reckon the weirdest part since we found out and started telling people is how people act after they know. We've actually kind of even come up with a term for it. It's mainly family that seem to do this, and particularly my mum. My dad did it a little bit, and a few of my friends, but it seems to be mainly my mum and yeah, just women in general that do it. It's the rapist smile. My mum will just do it for sort of, I don't know, she just seems to do it the entire time I'm around her at the moment. It's really odd. But she didn't stop doing it for about 3 hours when I first told her. But yeah, no, it's really strange. I don't quite understand it, but I can't think of anything else. Onto ultrasound photos, I suppose. I won't show the first 2 ultrasounds that we had because basically you can't see anything anyway. Yeah, I mean, I've held on to everything. Like, I've held on to my pregnancy tests, and I've held on to my first 2 ultrasounds, obviously, but they're really not worth showing. They're just the first one, you can only see like a yolk sac. That's it. There's no baby. The second one's about 2 weeks later, and it looks like a blurry seahorse. And yeah, and then we had our one yesterday, and it actually looks like a human, which is kind of something. But yeah, on to ultrasounds. Alright, so it is the longest ultrasound picture in the universe. So it goes. But so these last 2 are incredibly blurry. You can't see anything. This one is sort of like a side profile. So like, okay, let me try and figure out how to maneuver this. So that's like face, sort of back of the head, spinal business, and like neck and body and all that kind of stuff. And this one is the only sort of really decent one, even though you can't see heaps. I'm not Anthony making clinky noises. So like head, face, and body. And it's an Anthony. Death glaring me. Right. But yeah. So yeah. That's the baby. Oh, and sort of these sort of flicky white bits are arms. The baby, like I said, is a big mover and was being hugely annoying and just kicking around while the ultrasound tech was trying to take photos. So yeah, good times. Yeah, that's about it for the first sort of 12 or so weeks. Thanks for bearing with me with this awkwardness. I'm sure I'll get used to making videos again soon. I'll have to if I'm gonna try and do these every week. But yeah, if you're interested, subscribe and keep track of it, and I'll see you next week.